Okay, this is the HBR series, the classics. So this is Dr. Mary Renzel going over on mental toughness. So these are, if you read nothing else on mental toughness, read these definitive articles from HBR. Okay, well, I read these articles and I just pull out the neuroscience in all of them. So let's do it. All right. I had the recent opportunity to go to American College of Healthcare Executives meeting in Chicago. And here, the challenges, the excitement, the potential for expansion, growth, transformation, workforce challenges, just, a lot of challenges, but a lot of excitement that there could be a new day for healthcare. So one lecture I heard, they were talking about a study where they looked at the understandings of the C-suite compared to the frontline nurses. This was interesting because they were looking for gaps, they were looking for alignment, where were they, seeing the same thing, where were their opportunities to help each other, understand each other a little bit better, fill in the gaps, the knowledge gaps. So, of course, when I look at this with my bias of neuroscience, I love to, see the opportunities to help people understand neuroscience a little bit better. So first, I love when neuroscience team leads know how to brain prime. So before a busy meeting, before a busy week, what can you do to understand, what the brain needs to increase its perception, its focus, its awareness? What can we do as leaders to help people, figure out how to brain prime? And so that's what we do in Brain Fresh. So if you're interested, reach out. I have a leadership lift, it's called. It's a monthly membership. And these articles, from HBR are just showing the importance of tapping into neuroscience powers. And this meeting, again, they talked about, the people didn't feel like they belonged. They were leaving the C-suite leaders. They didn't feel supported. They didn't feel valued. And that is the basic human need, right? So we want to feel valued. We want to feel like we have a purpose. And so, this study showed there were some really big gaps that the nurses in the front line thought one thing, the C-suite execs thought another thing. So what's important, number one, is to realize the power of neuroscience so that if we understand what our brain needs to perceive and to look around and to understand and pull out those details, it's really important for us to help our teams. We also have to help our teams feel like they belong, like they can trust each other. So the other studies showed that nurses didn't want to float or didn't want to go on various teams because they wanted to stay with their own team. That was a certainty, like they knew what that team was about. And they feared the uncertainty of a new team. So that's just basic neuroscience, that we fear a change. So all we heard about at ACHE or American College of Healthcare Execs was the need for workforce transformation, change management, disruption, et cetera. And growth and expansion, but that also comes with a sense of fear because we don't know exactly what's coming. So once we acknowledge the human neuroscience needs, that we need to belong, we will have a fear of change because we haven't built those pathways yet. So I think of it like a building when you stand on that, if you're like way up in a skyscraper or something and they have those glass floors and you step out but you don't really see the way, or it looks like you're stepping on nothing. Sometimes career development feels like that you're just stepping out and there's really not a path yet. So what in this meeting, what they were talking about is preparing for the future, strategic, foresight, kind of figure out the future before we're even there and use models to get there, put strategies in place. And that's what we do in Brain Fresh. We learn how to brain prime to prep for the busy week. We learn how to align with what the neuroscience systems need. And then we learn how to design, how to be creative, how to build a growth team around us. Because if we're not strategic about our own professional well-being and tapping into our neuroscience needs, we just leave it to chance, right? And it's just too big a deal to leave to chance. So we always are looking for smarter decisions. There was a futurist at this meeting, so this was a new concept for me. So there's people that are futurists, and her name was Amy Webb. So look her up. She was very interesting. And she was talking about the future of healthcare and challenging us all to think expansively rather than to shrink. She said a lot of times when she talks to healthcare leaders, they're talking about what they can cut for growth, but really for growth, you want to think about expansion. And she, talked about, of course, you want to be, get rid of the inefficiencies, and it's not expensive, but growth shouldn't always be shrinking. So when we're trying to think of growing in our career development and our leadership skills, we don't want to shrink, right? We want to grow, we want to expand. That's what we do in Brain Fresh. So interesting concepts at this American College of Healthcare Execs, and it reinforced, HBR's articles, which I'll go over in detail, and some other videos. So keep watching. Watch me on YouTube, Dr. Mary Rensel on YouTube, and we'll keep sharing all these tips, because in order to maintain a healthy, balanced career as a leader, we need to put some foundational strategies in place, and that's what we do in Leaders Lift, Brain Fresh Leaders Lift. So reach out. I'm glad to tell you more. Have a great day. Keep at it. Keep growing and expanding.